Hey guys, welcome back to another vlog. I hope you are all staying safe out there during these times, especially if you're a person of color like me. This video is long overdue, to be honest. I'm really sorry about the delay. This is actually my second retake of this voiceover, believe it or not. You see, during the first round of this voiceover, I tried really hard not to talk politics. But in the end, I just said, fuck it, you know? So let's breathe really quick. Got a lot going on behind the scenes for this video. There's footage of me working on commissions, homework, personal projects, rally attendance, and even footage from the Oddities and Curiosities show or convention, whatever it's called. But yeah. The current footage that we're watching is of me working on a commission for Delaria, one of my patrons, and also a shout out to them for upping their support and joining me on my Naga tier. I feel like there's so much to catch up on, like legit, for my patrons, like so much. It's kind of overwhelming, literally. But there's a lot of stuff for me to learn and to figure out this year. So it'll be a bit bumpier than usual, but I do have a lot of things that I do want to do, to be honest. So I suppose let's start there. Yeah? I'm going to try very, very hard not to go on a sideline and like go off on a tangent. You know, I can't promise that it won't happen, but I am promising to try to not let that happen. But where to begin, though, is the question. It's funny, really. The irony of politics and doing what you love. I love learning, and I love all forms the arts takes. At least for the most part, you know? Like, how intertwined they are within politics and it within them. Reading and writing is political. Music and singing is political. Drawing and painting is political. Sculpting and molding is political. Casting and firing is political. Like, literally, what isn't political, really? Like, when your very existence in of itself is political, you know? That, my dear listener, was the very precipice that I've been looming over. The sad realization, no, the cementation of this very fact. I've known it for a long time, but it took some time setting in, I suppose. The things that we enjoy can be taketh away. Trump came into this second term swinging, that's for sure. He's done a lot in such a short amount of time that it's pretty much irreversible. And that which can be salvaged will probably take generations to get back on track. So many lives and political relationships have been ruined in a matter of days. You know, we're barely over 100 days with this man, and yeah. As we know, he has issues with diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI in short. He also has an issue with public funding and research, views that paint the ugly truth of the United States. I mean, the list goes all the way through, having issues with people who don't even fucking agree or cater to his delusional thoughts, you know? So with the issues and gutting of the Department of Education, I was very, very unsure if I'd be able to return to uni to finish my last year for my master's degree. There's also the onslaught of mass deportation, you know, of everyone who's Latina. And like, don't get me wrong, there are other minorities who are also involved in this as well. So like that's a no-brainer, you know? And At this point, he doesn't care whether they're here legally or not, whether they have a clean record or not. He's just utterly focused on getting rid of my people and other Latinas. So don't assume safeness in this country by any means. So, will I even be around when the next semester starts this coming August for fall? Who knows? I am, however, enrolled in online courses at least, so if I do have to up and leave, at least I can do what I need to do in order to complete my degree. And I hope with the the coming spring semester after that I can finish online as well. See, cross fingers, So, on this matter and others, it's so hard not to talk about politics when politics is literally the very thing that's threatening to stand in your way or kick you down while it's at it, Not only is politics involved in my education and getting my education, but it's also involved in my art and my shop. And I'm gonna circle back to the latter two here in a bit. Right now, I kind of just want to focus on the education portion and politics. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm currently attending uni to get my master's in public administration, which means I'm taking classes that revolve around public law, policies, and everything else that coincides within the public administration field. Prior to this, I have received my associate's degree in business and accounting. I also received an associate's degree in arts, but that's probably for communication due to the amount of English classes and public speaking classes I went out of my way to attend. Last spring, I also graduated with my bachelor degree for fine arts, specifically within drawing and painting. I'm an artist by nature. What can I say, So imagine how out of place I must have felt coming from the art world into politics, right? Like, I do love me some politics, and I would love to work for the Department of Phoenix in their arts and culture department, or a museum, or like an arts organization like Chico, which focus on Latina and indigenous communities. I mean, to be honest, the best thing would be to be able to live off of my own work alone, But I do want to be there to help and inspire the next generation of Latina and indigenous artists to take up their own torch and light new paths for future generations ahead of them to take up and travel along as well. But yeah, coming into this, wanting to help my community through art is vastly different than that of my peers who want big, important political positions, And with everything going on, I myself am considering giving it a shot. Imagine me as a politician. A chicken butt who shakes when they have to talk in front of crowds. But for reals, I felt so out of place during my first semester in this program, and I just want to give a quick, huge shout out to 3 of my professors who I've had the pleasure of taking their classes this past semester, which is my second round of classes for this degree. It was thanks to them that I was able to root myself and understand that I do in fact belong there in that program. I won't say their names, gotta keep some confidentiality, But the first one goes out to my microeconomics professor. She was literally a blast. She gave us a list of books to choose from at the very beginning of the semester. We had to choose one of them to go through and do a book report on her. And because of her and the book that I chose, which was on the gig economy, I was able to understand how we play a role as small business owners in the economy and within public policy and administration. I learned which gigs are more protected than others and why it's important to have advocacy in the field in which I love and adore, the arts. And due to her, I was able to make a podcast that I've been wanting to make for a hot minute, and I would like to do an extended version of that podcast, like do it the original way that I wanted and planned to do it. but that's currently on the back burner right now. In all honesty, I want to catch up to where I need to be first, since this round of classes and degree is taking up a lot more of my time. So there's a lot for me to catch up on. And then, yeah. My second professor, who doesn't even know how they've eased my doubts, they taught my social entrepreneurship class, and we learned there how we can use capitalism in reverse to spread awareness and create calls for action while making meaningful and impactful changes within society in of itself. And seriously, thank you. You honestly don't know how much you literally put my mind at ease, even with all the stuff going on that I've been worried about on a personal level, you know? And through you, I've figured out the importance of using my platform to spread awareness and call for change, even if it costs me followers coming and going, you know? Lastly is my public affairs professor. She was amazing as well and encouraged my writings on the policy analysis that involved the NEA. And, you know, their words encouraging me on as to why this topic is very important within society. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot that I'm passionate about within politics, healthcare, education, immigration, environmentalism, and obviously the arts. But no one gives credence to the arts. My peers have all spoken about the issues that I just listed and more, but I've been the only one so far to raise awareness as to what's going on and the happenings within my own field. And the fact that some people and some of my colleagues and professors are listening to what I have to say and about my own personal experience is a bit overwhelming, really. I'm nowhere used to being asked about important things like this within my field, so it's different, but thank you, because now I have more of a commanding voice on this subject and everything, and not just as an artist, but as a peer within public administration. So yeah, thank you guys, really, and I'm looking forward to other professors that I can add on to this list as well. And that brings us to one of our latter topics I said I would round back to. My art. Whether I want it to be or not, it is ultimately tied within the world of politics via ways I never thought imaginable. And not just mine, but yours too. How, you might ask? It's a very good question, so let's dig into it. This journey into the rabbit hole literally is in thanks to one of my aforementioned professors that I just gave adoration to. That's right, my public affairs professor. You see, I already knew how the attack on DEI, the mass and illegal deportations were gonna go. Still kind of iffy on this Department of Education thing though, not gonna lie. But yeah, I mean, some of the shit that's happening isn't new, you know? And with that, I could have gone either which way on the final paper we had to write. I could have gone into any field to see how these effects were going to cause issues for anyone, if not everyone. So I said, fuck it. Let's look at the repercussions that will be in the art field. And guys, my heart and soul kind of withered and died, you know, at the revelations. So let's start at the national level. The National Endowment for the Arts, the NEA, is a federal department within the arts sector. Literally, it is the national stage within this field, and it acts not just as a funding body, but as a cultural signal as well. You see, the government chooses what is ultimately meaningful within its society. That means it deems what's worthy of preservation and what's worth investing in. And because of the rolling back of DEI measures, the Challenge America program was hacked into small itty-bitty pieces. Revisions were also made to include new criteria on applications for funding going forward, and changes as to what kind of art will be sought after going forward as well. So, yeah. The Challenge America program was originally designed to make public arts funding more accessible to smaller and rural organizations, especially those who have been historically underserved. And it's being replaced with this idea of celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence in order to garnish a message about national heritage and quote unquote unity. Going forward, there is a call and a pressure for self-censorship at the national level of the arts as well, which can and will affect the themes, funding approach, and even limit creative risk-taking. It also cuts out the history of the people who are native and indigenous to these lands. Eventually, this silencing will lead to further mistrust between the public and public administration itself. The new revisions for applications directly affect new emerging artists and art organizations, as now you have to have 5 years worth of programming experience to even be what's accepted as an applicant. So with many of these changes come a lot of exclusion, and I'm sure we can all figure out which voices they will no longer deem worthy of having a national audience. From there, these reforms will slowly limit the funding that states get, and local governments from the states will then see a decrease in their funding, and that will be then felt by the private and nonprofit sectors, and ultimately it will trickle down to the artists themselves and their communities. We are literally all linked together some way, somehow, you know? And you're pretty much shit out of luck if you dove deeper into this path and opened up your own small business to sell your work and merchandise that you create from it. To be honest, yes, like my business is affected by these stupid tariffs and shit that literally make no logical sense. But alas, here we be. I will say this though, majority of my products / merchandise is made here in my studio by me. So this includes not only my original works, both traditional and digital, but I make my own prints from 4x6 all the way up to 13x19 inches, which is like a small poster size. I print and I cut out my own stickers. I make and assemble the pretty charms to the bookmarks I make for each of my collections. I make all my buttons and all my button magnets here in studio. Like, I make my own display cutouts and stuff for my shop with like the characters and like little mushrooms and all that other good jazz. And shit, I mean, I even made my own tablecloths for my booths and like the awning that I made for one of those booth designs that I did that looked like a little shop, you know. It was cute, honestly. I mean, literally the only thing I don't make are enamel pins, business cards, and my vinyl banners. I'm also thinking about doing acrylic charms, but that would also be outsourced. But at the moment, with all these freaking tariffs, enamel pins and acrylic charms are completely out of the question for me right now until Trump is gone or his stupid tariffs are gone. Like, I'm not dealing with that. But yeah, the price wise, things are going up. So some products like materials that I personally use have incurred higher prices due to tariffs, and I'm primarily impacted by them through the cost of my materials, like my paints and stuff, my canvas, all that jazz. So to lower my costs to a more acceptable place, I'm turning to making my own mediums. Like, I've already been making my own concoctions for oil painting, you know, the variations of lean to fatty mixtures instead of grabbing them pre-made, you know. Same with my palette color. I I know how to mix the colors that I need, that I want from them, you know? So I don't have to go out and buy a shit ton of tubes of different colors that are already pre-made and pre-mixed. However, the prices in paints themselves are going up because the cost of pigments have gone up. So instead of continuing forward with grabbing the 8-ounce cans that I do of paint from Gamblin, I'm deciding that going from here on out, I will be grabbing the pigment itself, the pure pigment, and I will buy all the items that I need or materials that I need to make the binders here in my studio so I can make my own medium. So be it ink, wash, watercolor, oil pastels, normal pastels, oil paints, you know, whatever it is that I need, acrylic paint, that I can make it here in my studio. And who knows, you know, maybe after I perfect my own materials, get them to a consistency that works well for me and lasts, like making sure that I grab the best pigments that I can for the light fastness and everything. And once I've proven that to myself that, you know, these materials are good, nothing's off about them, you know, maybe I'll start considering selling my own art supplies at that point, you know, if need be. I don't know. I mean, shit, like, I can also make my own handmade paper, and I know how to prep it and put the mixture in to make them work for, like, to write on, so that way they're acid free and stuff. But this is all, like, ideas if shit really hits the fan. At least with that one, like, I have resources that I can turn to in that aspect. And, like, you always got to stay resourceful, you know, especially when you're in the arts field like me. So the more knowledge you have that you can do, that you've got experience and practice with, you know, the better your chances are of scraping it out of this economy alive and, like, still kicking. Maybe not to the best, like, if you were, you know, selling art back to back to back to back, you know, or getting gallery show after gallery show, you know, like, if your shit slows down, at least you got, or the economy breaks down to that point, at least you got other skills within the art thing that maybe you could thrive off of, you know? I don't know. That's my thoughts on this, is, like, just in case to save myself money because of the tariffs. I will be going about this either way, but I will be making, you know, personalized batches for myself. So yeah. And if I need to, I can turn to making my own handmade art supplies to start selling as well over time. So yeah. So obviously, with everything happening after returning from spring break, I just I needed school to be done with for the summer. Like, don't get me wrong, I was way ahead of my studies after the break and all, so I was literally hardly breaking a sweat by the end of it. Like, I enjoyed the projects and the papers I had to write about for once. Like, yeah, the formatting is a bit annoying, but whatever. And now there's so many things up in the air. I've had to cancel vacation plans that I've had since last year. I'm scared to head out or go anywhere, especially with ice crawling around. Like, I'm a legal citizen. I was born and raised here. But these motherfuckers do not care. They never have and never will, you know, since the founding of them circa 2003. And now there's talks about Trump thinking about denaturalizing citizens. You know, call them what you will. Like I said, talks, gossip, rumors, whatever. But, like, if that's true, what the absolute fuck, you know? So yeah. This summer, I've already started implementing new things for myself, for keeping track of my schedule, getting things planned out. I'm trying to revive my newsletter and get more peeps signed up, It's a slow process, but I am reviving my newsletter. I've been sending out an email and stuff like that, a little email campaign about my current collection that I'm launching titled Mythic Waters. If you don't know about it, I talk more about it on my Instagram and stuff like that, but it's my first collection that I'm actually like self-launching. I've decided to redo my entire shop, how I do my collections, you know. So now there's going to be running themes that'll be switching up every single year. So yeah, so this summer's one is called Mythic Waters. It's, you know, bodies of water, nature, forests, etc. You know, mythical creatures like mermaids, sirens, water creatures, naiads, everything like that. Kelpies, selkies, you know. So yeah, I've got originals, prints, buttons, stickers, all that good jazz. I'm in the process of finishing up my bookmarks and finishing up making the last 2 trinket boxes. And then we should be good. I also need to grab some content on that so that way I can post it up and all that good jazz too. So that's tomorrow me problems though, for now. During March, I also found time not only to make art again, but I was able to set aside time to attend a couple of protests and go to AOC's and Bernie Sanders' rally that they held at my old stomping grounds in Tempe. It was a good rally for the most part. They spoke about things that I personally think would be common sense or common knowledge. But I mean, that's kind of out the door these days, you know? I'm not gonna lie. I did get ticked off with Bernie a wee bit and with AOC as well. I know they're all about bipartisanship and all that good jazz. But they called for a round of applause to go out to Ruben Gallego, who's our senator here in Arizona. I was repulsed when they said that, to be quite frank. And instead of applauding and chanting in excitement, I booed. I literally did. I said, fuck Gallego. Why? I mean, he's a Democrat, right? Yeah. Sure. He's a Democrat. He's a mole, like Kirsten Sinema was. This whole issue with what's going on with ICE is literally in part thanks to him. He was a co-sponsor of that Lake and Riley Act. So just because this fuckface decides to gain a spine for once, and just to say no to the cuts on Medicaid that Trump wanted to do, that this is supposed to make up and atone for his bad deeds or to have them overlooked. We are in the situation that we're in right now because of him and all the other politicians that bent a knee to fucking Trump. No, like literally, fuck Gallego. Primaries are coming up and we do not forget. I have no sympathy for the people who voted for Trump or who are still moving alongside him, clearing the path for him to do what he wants when he pleases. And I guess it's a whole other issue that I have within my own field of study. What I'm learning is completely opposite of what's going on in real life on the political stage, you know? And how the fuck do I not laugh at the irony of this? I'm tired of this timeline. I'm tired of being gaslit by politicians. I'm just tired. My generation and generations after me I've yet to know what actual peace is, what it looks like, what it tastes like. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Everything that I was fed about our government is a fucking lie, you know? But I mean, I guess that shouldn't be a surprise coming from a capitalistic society. Or capitalistic market, I guess. Because the only way you win is via exploitation. And only really fucked up people like to exploit other people, you know, willingly, happily. Don't have an issue with it and can sleep just fine at night. My heart honestly breaks talking about this kind of stuff because, like, that could easily be me and my family, you know? But we know where they're sending the men and the people who were assigned males at birth, you know? Where the fuck are they sending the women and the children? Every time we've been rounded up like this, people have not only died, but some have been smuggled and traded into circles for human trafficking. Women and children, and even some men. No one said a word. Hardly anyone is asking. You guys don't understand how easy it would be for me just to up and leave my education to be more active and involved in what's going on. You know? Sadly, I can't. I've got responsibilities and a kid to take care of. And it's probably gonna be my last year with her too, since she plans on leaving me to go to California to go to uni. If she can, you know, and if she's accepted to the spot she wants to go to. I'm doing what I can though, you know? I'm attending rallies and protests when I can. And I'm getting more active in my art community and its organizations. Speaking up and defending my people, you know, who we are to this land. Spreading awareness. Just in general on all my platforms. I mean, shit, here I am. Instead of just chatting about art and good things, I'm chatting politics with you guys. I redid this whole video because I tried and failed not to chat about politics. And by the end of that video, of that recording, I just fell to pieces. I'm like, you're probably hearing my voice crack now. I've been trying to keep my shit together, and here I am. And it's so hard not to go out and at least use my privilege as an American to keep my fellow people safe and like my community, you know? Like, I don't give a fuck where they come from, whether it's Mexico, where my family hails from. I don't care, they're Guatemalan, El Salvadorian, Peruvian, you know, South American, African, Indian, Asian. I don't give a fuck. Like, we're all human. And how can you be illegal on stolen land? I'm sorry, guys. I should probably take a break for a little bit and then return when I'm not in a state of sadness and like complete anger. Guys, we are off today to go see Bernie Sanders and AOC at the Mullet Arena today. So, yay! But yeah, so that's where I'm currently walking. I took the light rail because I didn't want to deal with the traffic over here because I have no clue how many people are coming to this rally. So, yeah. Alright guys, I'll be back.
It's a nice campus.
It's a huge one. It's a very huge campus.
And you can't take a serious picture.
The truth is that the overwhelming majority of people, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, understand that everybody in this country has the right to a decent, comfortable standard of living.
And the rally's done. Oh look, there's a trota. Shit. Good thing I'm getting on the bus. Or train. Actually, not bus. Train. Alrighty. But anywho, we're almost there. But the rally was done. It was great. 10 out of 10. So, yeah. I guess the even sadder part is how all of us so-called minorities, who outnumber the taquitos, by the way, have been coded to look down on each other, on other races, and to be prejudiced against them as well. Yet we share the same common issues. And it's the same people who cement the problems that are overlooked because of their distractions that they cause. And I guess that's where I diverge from the rest of the population. There are others with me too, who I know are on this train. I cannot be the only fucking person on this train alone, you know? I mean, think about it. I'm a fucking 90s kid. The media I was fed growing up from PBS was shows like Wishbone, Arthur, Bill Nye, Zoom, Zabuma Food, Barney, Sesame Street, Lamb Chop. Wait, was Channel 8 with Lamb Chop? I think so. But it's been so long that I don't really remember, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure it did. But we also had fucking Reading Rainbow and The Big Comfy Couch with Lunette and Molly. And there were also shows like Adventures from the Book of Virtues, Captain Planet and the Planeteers, movies like Pocahontas, A Bug's Life, Treasure Planet, Ferngully, anime like Spirited Away, or V for Vendetta when I got a wee bit older, you know, for like live action movies. All of them, though, they instilled the same morals that my school, well, parochial school, and my family were already teaching me. So this was all alongside of it, including my ethics, a sense of justice, and this craving for unity between all of us. And maybe it's just a pipe dream, you know, an altruistic thing. And I know, I mean, I am an artist, which means I'm a dreamer, right? But you guys, I have a lot on my plate. A lot to be stressed about. And I'm pretty sure many of you are too. And it's hard to be hopeful during times like these, you know? But keep showing up. Keep that hope burning. No matter how dark the space you're in is, keep that fire going strong. I believe in you. Like, literally, we are in this together. And know that you're not alone. For me, it's been hard to keep this facade that I've been wearing my whole life on. And the cracks are starting to show, you know? Lord knows it shows in all these ganas on my head, but yeah. On the other hand of all this bad news, I do have some good news, at least for this month. So last month, back in May, I submitted an application for a call to artists for an exhibition titled Roots/Rises. Yeah, one of my paintings was accepted into the exhibition and it will be on display starting this Friday, June 13th, which is the opening reception, and it will be on display until the 8th of August, I believe. So if you're ever in the downtown Phoenix area, you should totally stop by Zico Studio Galleries and check out my submission and the other amazing artists who are having their work on display as well. So, who knows? Maybe if you like something, you can nab it while you can. Yeah? Roots/Rises is meant to highlight personal, familial, and ancestral histories, as well as the everyday lives, dreams, and struggles that shape our communities, as per Chico and the curator of this exhibition. The piece I entered in is titled Azteca, and it was a journey to get to her. Her and her sister paintings took me 33 years for me to make. You see, growing up, I often felt caught in between. You know, not quite American enough, but not quite Mexican enough either. And for a long time, I hid parts of who I was. But over the years, that longing to reconnect with my roots grew stronger. Now, my work explores that journey. Through dreamlike worlds, vibrant colors, and sacred motifs, from mushrooms and moss to butterflies and bones, I'm literally weaving together a visual language of memory, reclamation, and healing. At least for me, you know? Azteca was one of 3 pieces that I created back in 2023 that allowed me to really begin exploring who I am, who my ancestors were, and how our lives, though centuries apart, are still deeply intertwined. This piece in particular is a visualization and a representation of that connection. The Aztec calendar grounds the work, symbolizing our roots and native blood that continues to flow through our veins, reflected in our features, our presence, and our history. A lot of people recognize the Aztec calendar as some kind of doomsday symbol, the so-called end of the world, but that's a misunderstanding. It was never meant to be about a cataclysmic biblical-style apocalypse. The calendar represents a cycle, a profound, close study of the earth, of time, of movement and renewal. It's not an ending, but a transformation. And just like the calendar, we too are a people of transformation. We've always adapted to our surroundings, surviving and reshaping and thriving across deserts, forests, and even tame jungles. In the dry heat of the Southwest or the lush canopies of the past, our resilience has never faded. It lives in our bones, in our memory, and in our art. La Catrina also holds her own layered meaning too. She was originally created by Jose Guadalupe Posada as a social critique, calling out Mexicans who try to erase their indigenous identity and appear European. That irony hits especially hard for me, as someone raised in the US where assimilation often feels like a survival tactic, where we're taught to quiet our culture just to belong. Over time, La Catrina herself has become some kind of commodity, sold on t-shirts and decor, and flattened into a Halloween costume. But in Azteca, I wanted to return her to her roots, not just as a symbol of death, but of remembrance and resistance. Her dress in the painting reflects that tension as well. There's still a trace of indigenous style within the silhouette, but the patterning leans distinctly European. That blend speaks to the forced fusion we've lived with for generations. How colonization has reshaped our bodies, our language, even our aesthetic. The Flor de Jamaica adds yet another layer. It's a beautiful plant, do not get me wrong, but it was one that was brought here by colonizers. It represents the so-called gifts of colonizations, goods that came with a cost and left permanent marks on our cultures, our land, and our identities. But more than anything, Azteca is a reclamation. Just like I'm reclaiming my identity, heritage, culture, and roots, this painting reclaims space. It was created on a salvaged canvas where traces of the old artwork still linger beneath the surface. That, to me, mirrors the telltale scars colonization has left behind, subtle but unshakable. The only thing that's changed is the place and the time. And because of this piece and the other two that I created alongside it, I've since journeyed deeper. I found myself pulled into the myths and legends of the old gods, the stories we weren't taught, but still live inside of us. These works opened a doorway, and I've been walking through it ever since. Now I want to follow that connection even further, not just through the figures and symbols, but into the land itself. I've started exploring landscapes through a sacred lens, studying the shapes, geometry, and symbolism used by indigenous tribes of the region. There's a powerful visual language written into the earth, and I want to listen to what it has to say, you know? So, yeah, I guess, like, in the end, my hope is that those who come to see this exhibition and see, my piece, that they carry a different outlook in some sort of way. Like, one that takes into consideration, the untold and more often than not forgotten history of my people and other indigenous people. And, even with that, even by just, either sing it personally or you listening to my thoughts while I was creating this piece,
Hi. Hi.
that my journey somehow also inspires you to do a self-discovery of your own, whether it's about your identity, your heritage, or for healing, you know, and also that, our ancestors still have so much to teach us, and all we have to do is, stop and listen. Anywho, guys, that's pretty much how my art journey has been as of late. This is also a form of activism for me as well. I've made a few political pieces, like outright political pieces myself, especially during the month of March, in which we are watching. It started with one, and then it slowly multiplied into 3. And I've got more ammunition to make more. So, yeah. Anywho, guys, resist any way you guys can. Fuck this fascist regime and the new KKK. Use your platform, speak out, I mean, yeah, literally. Keep safe out there, protect your communities. Remember, if they can come for us, they can and will go after you too. And with that, guys, I am signing out. Till next time. Bye.